Thanks, and we'll start with Gail, Sky Sports News.
Gareth, maybe not the contest you wanted after the sending off, but plenty of positives still. What was the top few for you? Who really impressed?
Well, across the week I've been really pleased with the new caps, or those that have only had a handful of caps previously. So from the back, Ben White again tonight, I thought very composed, played a couple of lovely passes in a position that he has played but is not obviously his first choice. So I think across the two games he's done really well. I think Tyreek is a different sort of profile to our other fullbacks, and he made some good defensive decisions tonight. He's quick, aggressive to get out to people, so he can be really pleased with what he's done. Jude, I thought had a very mature performance and really positive step for him. And I thought Jack and Raheem in that first half in particular, well, throughout, but in the first half when the game was still 11v11, they looked like they were going to be the ones to make the difference and open the game up. So nice for Ollie to get his goal. That's a real plus. But I thought Jack and Raheem were the two that provided the real top quality, and some of the link with Jude as well was very good.
Maybe not so positive, the booing for the second game in a row for Maguire. Ever since you've taken over, you've worked very hard, haven't you, to have a connection with the fans. Does that make it even more disappointing to hear that aimed at one of your own players on a home ground?
Well, it doesn't necessarily make it more disappointing, but I don't understand how it benefits anybody, because we're either all in it together or we're not. I would imagine if you asked a few, actually, why were they doing that, they might not even be able to answer, because it becomes a mob mentality. And of course, at one end of the ground, we've got a hardcore section of fans who are playing his song and trying to get his name sung. So, I'm very aware it's not everybody, but we're either all in this together or we're not. And don't think for 1 minute the other players won't be looking at that thinking that could be me one day. And that's been one of the problems with playing for England. Players have thought, do I want to go? Because when it turns a little bit difficult, then the crowd are going to turn on me. And that happened with John Barnes here, and that happened with Ashley Cole a couple of times. It happened with Raheem. Now Harry. They're all outstanding players. And so how that is going to benefit anybody, I really don't understand. And we're united as a team. We need a Harry Maguire playing well if we're going to have a chance of doing well this summer. Because we're not going to win a World Cup with a load of players that have got 3 or 4 caps. That's not happened in the history of the game. So we need our experienced players playing well, particularly in those positions of the field. He's top quality. In my opinion, he's the best centre-back at his club as well. And where this is all starting or being fed, I'm not sure, but it's ludicrous. It's almost like every time he steps on a football pitch, every action is analysed to death. I can't remember a player having that sort of spotlight on them at any point.
How did you think he played, not wanting to analyse to death again, but it didn't seem to affect him, did it?
Very good. He important moment stepping out with the ball for the goals. That's what he does. Him and John over the period of time have given us the ability to play out from the back that we haven't had for quite a period of time. So that changes the dynamic of the game and the way we're able to play. Obviously defensively not tested too much tonight because the red card changed the flow of the game and changed it as a contest, which was a shame for us from a learning point of view and also for the fans as a spectacle. But he did what he needed to do, and given that reception, I thought he did extremely well.
Thanks, Gail. We have a couple of mindful waiting patiently on Zoom, so we'll quickly just take one on Zoom before returning to the room. We'll go to Adiola from Sport Africana.
Yeah. Hello, Gareth, and congrats for the good game. Currently, 4 African countries have qualified for the World Cup, and that's Ghana, Morocco, Senegal, and Tunisia. And there is the probability that you may end up playing either of those teams at the World Cup in Qatar. So how would you think the game against Ivory Coast tonight would prepare you for the games in the World Cup, particularly if you eventually find your team, that's England, in with one of the African countries?
Correct comparison, because of course all of those teams play slightly differently and have different attributes, but I think there's a lot of similarity in style of European teams now, and for us to play, we haven't had the chance to play a South American team or an African team since the last World Cup, and we wanted that type of challenge. What's clear is when you see the quality of the players that the Ivory Coast have in their squad, it shows you how strong African football is and why there need to be more qualifying places for them in the World Cup, because when you see the teams that are playing off against each other tonight as well, there are a lot of very good teams who won't get to go.
Thanks. Back in the room with Sam Wallace.
Hi, Gareth. Just on Jude, you've spoken the week about all the different positions he's played, and I think you listed quite a few with Dortmund, but you played him in a new one tonight. There's a tremendous competition for that number 10 position, even if you play a formation with it accommodated. Is that where you see him eventually?
Well, he pressed as a 10, but he wasn't playing as a 10. So, and he won't be a 10. He'll be a really powerful attacking 8, and with the ability to get forward and link as he did tonight. He might end up being able to play one deeper as well, but at the moment he's young, he wants to go and press, and that takes him out of the defensive positions a little bit too early. So you have to give him his head. It's a bit like Gallagher, they want to go and press, and so they're not at the moment going to have the stability to play as one of the deeper, maybe as a double pivot. You could do it maybe in a 3-4-3 if you were letting one of them go earlier, but the likes of Rice, Henderson, Phillips have got that tactical awareness that's going to be important in those positions. But what you saw tonight is the fabulous attributes he's got, that ability to drive forward with the ball, to combine with players. He looks like is going to be a threat on the goal. And he will regain balls. We've been talking to him about the moments to go and maybe not to go, because at times he goes too early when he's never going to get there and can get picked off. And as he gets older, he'll run about 1.5 kilometres less and be a lot more effective and efficient with his defending. But that's part of the learning, and he's fabulous to work with. He's got a... I said earlier, I'm loath to go over the top, because we go so far over the top with our young players that it doesn't help them. But, he is a super exciting talent.
What position was he playing?
He was a left 8 with the ball and pressing as a 10. Well, he went and joined Ollie, and the two of them pressed together. So, but a 10 is going to be more capable of back to goal receiving, finding the little pockets. That's not quite going to be his absolute strength in the end, but he has got great attacking attributes as a foraging 8, which is sort of where he plays for his club, whether that's on the left of a diamond or as one of the 8s in a 4-3-3.
Okay, we've got time for 3 more. James Ollie.
Hi Gareth, just one about the draw on Friday if I can. I'm guessing one of the things you're hoping for from that is a group that starts a bit later in the tournament, given you've got very little preparation time in November.
Yes, in a way, but we're talking a day or two difference, which could be crucial. So every 24 hours might be somebody recovering from an injury, or a little bit longer to recover from the time change and the travel and prepare on the training pitch. So it is going to be really squeezed, but we've just got to accept whatever hand we're dealt. And we're in the same situation as most other nations. Most are going to be waiting for players playing in Europe who are going to finish that weekend before. So the ones that adapt the best will thrive.
Do you think there's any chance that the Premier League, is that a dialogue that could continue, that you might be able to get that round of matches, the 12th, 13th moved at all, or is that absolutely set in stone now?
I wouldn't think that's going to happen. And in fairness to them, they're losing a month of fixtures. So, and most other nations are going to have players from our league in the same boat. So, no, I think what would be helpful is maybe we don't get a Manchester derby or those sorts of big 6 games which normally we get right on an international break. But we understand the league is squashed. They've got to get the Champions League games in. It's not the fault of the league that the World Cup's being played in the winter. So, and they've got the same problem at the end with players coming back from a World Cup finals straight into a league programme. So it's complicated for all the managers, really.
Okay, if we can just get his last few to one each, Tom.
Cheers. Gareth, what you've got left now between now and the World Cup is obviously a Nations League campaign against some tough teams. Are you likely to kind of keep trying different personnel and different systems in that time, or perhaps see it as a kind of competition worth going for in its own right?
Well, we definitely want to do well in it. We've always used every competition to look at young players at the right time and try to keep winning matches. So the first Nations League, I think, we played Gomez and Chilwell in Spain, Harry Winks in Spain. It was one of the youngest teams that had been fielded at that point, I think. So we've always thought if players are doing well and we think they're capable, then we'll play them. It's going to be a really good test in terms of the quality of the fixtures and an important stepping stone to keeping the connection with the players and continuing to improve on the detail, because as we've just discussed, we're not going to have that time immediately before the tournament. So every session on the coaching pitch is really important.
Adrian?
Hi Gareth, just back on the Jude Bellingham. Sort of whenever he plays for England and people see what he's doing for his club, the kind of clamour grows and people talk about almost you have to find a way to sort of get him in the England team. And I wonder, how do you sort of fight against that, if you see what I mean, when you've got to step back and make the decisions and you've got other players who've done what they've done for you in the past? How do you find managing in that when there is that sort of growing feeling amongst sort of fans and people who watch England saying Bellingham's got to be in the team?
Yeah, but I'd be picking 18 if I picked everybody they tell me should be in, and so I can't do that. But he's pushing, he's pushing. But the good thing is Gallagher's pushing him and Ramsey's pushing. So they can all get on with it and fight it out amongst themselves, and we'll pick the ones that are playing at the best level and who can do the job. And we're in a fortunate position that we do have good players. You can motivate players as a manager, but there's no higher motivation than 2 more on the bench that can come and take your place. And that's how the big clubs work. And we're starting to get that competition in most positions on the field. So, we're always open-minded. We're always assessing. We're watching them every week. We see the positive qualities and we see the little bits that, okay, how can we improve that bit? And we're all wanting to develop the best possible players and the best possible team. Without a doubt, none of the players in the squad can sit and think they're in the 23, 26 or in the 11. They've all got to keep playing well and keep pushing each other.
And last one from Darren.
Just with that in mind, you sent on some quality players on the hour. When you look at the draw, you look at the World Cup big picture, are you more excited? Do you allow yourself to get a little bit more excited than you were ahead of 2018?
It's a different excitement because, of course, I'd never led my country into a major tournament and we weren't quite sure what we were going to get, and we had some players that we thought might really do well. And now we have more evidence of results and more expectation, of course. So a different sort of feel, really, but it's still a tournament that we all watched as kids. We all filled our wall charts out. We all hoped and followed when England were there that we would do well. and it's a unique chance to make history. So that, of course, is massively exciting.
Thanks all. We'll have to wrap it up there. Cheers.
Okay, thank you.